Well, I mean, first of all, sorry for your loss. I know. How long have you known Governor Hunt, and how long have you considered him a friend?
Well, I met Governor Hunt for the first time in 1976. I was helping Howard Lee, who was running for lieutenant governor, and Governor Hunt was running for governor out west. And I just remember seeing him in action, like the ever-ready bunny. He had so much energy. Gave a great speech, and was really pushing people up there to be more effective with their legislators on education issues and things like that. And very impressive.
And then you were the Attorney General when he was serving his last 2 terms as governor, and then you succeeded him as governor. What was that relationship like?
Well, when I was elected in '92 as Attorney General, he was elected for his 3rd term, and so I was his Attorney General. At least he said I was his, and so for 8 years, and I learned a lot from him. I had to, we had to talk about issues in order for me to figure out what the proper legal strategy ought to be, and how he came to where he was on a particular issue, and how we needed to make it work. And he was he could work you pretty hard, and it was a great relationship that we built. But I really got to know him best during the transition after I was elected governor, while he was going out, and we would spend a lot of afternoons. He'd cut out a couple of hours to try and help me understand the reason why these policies are important, the reason why the people needed, the best way to get them through the General Assembly, and how you had to, stay focused and stay aggressive.
Sort of training, on-the-job training a little bit.
He mentored me a lot, and not only while he was leaving office and I was coming in, but afterwards. He would come back and say, we still got to finish Smart Start. We got all the urban areas pretty much funded, but you got to get these rural areas funded. And he'd be back the next week, and he'd call, and he'd have ideas. And I'd take his calls, and they were all good ideas. Some things we could do, some things we couldn't do. We were in the middle of a budget issue that was caused by NAFTA, and we lost the textiles, the furniture, and that sort of thing. And of course, he had a backup plan for that too, with biotechnology, and we moved toward putting that in place at NC State, and then throughout the community colleges in the rural counties, and he was always there, not only giving me advice when I asked for it, but even when I didn't ask for it, he just never quit. He kept on pushing North Carolina forward.
If you read some of the bios or the obits that have come out already, a lot of people calling him North Carolina's greatest governor. I don't know if you qualified to make that determination, but what made him so special? What put him in that class?
Well, first of all, I think given Cooper and Martin and me, there are only 4 of us that got to serve 2 terms, and he served 4. And so, and a term as lieutenant governor. So that gives him 20 years to make progress, and he made use of every single minute of it. And so I don't think we'll see that again. I don't think many states will see a Jim Hunt, at least not in my lifetime, which is probably not that great left anyway. But he was a special guy he just had a commitment to the people of North Carolina. He loved North Carolina, but more importantly, he loved the people of North Carolina, and he had tremendous confidence in that. He would tell me, you take chances, and you take some risks, and the people will back you up. I don't care what the polls say, the people will back you up. And pretty much it proved to be true.
What do you think his legacy will be, over the next years?
He always wanted his legacy to be education, and he worked hard at that and pushed hard at it. When he took office, it was a tough educational system. It was not in very good shape. And despite all he did in the first 8 years, it wasn't where it needed to be, and he knew that. It wasn't where he wanted it to be. And then he had another 8 years, and I remember him coming to the Attorney General's office after I'd won the election, sitting down with me and saying, listen, you're going to be frustrated from time to time because it takes a long time to move the needle on education. But here's where we are now. And he laid it all out. And he said, and this is where we need to get to, and this is how you can get there. And if I can help you, you let me know. And I think he was passionate about it because he knew that education was our way out of the woods during all these NAFTA cuts and World Trade Organization wrecking our economy and the tobacco and all of that going away. He knew just go back to the schools and educate the workforce and you'll get people here that got the jobs.
And he was right.
He was right, and it worked for us. And we were able to stay top ranked for business during those, I think, at least the last 7 years I was in office, basically following his script. We didn't change it. We didn't change the name of any programs. We didn't change the way that we were working them. We had to change the way we raised money in the state, but we pretty much followed his lead.
I know there's a group of former governors, a very select group, and you guys stay in touch. I think you text message with them. What is it like to be a part of that group and obviously to lose a member of that group?
Well, it's hard to lose a member of that group anyway, but to lose Governor Hunt, because he had such a strong voice. And then on the Republican side, Jim Martin, he's still going strong. But between those two, that's what gave us our juice, what little bit we had. But when we had Governor Hunt, he could stand up and make an impassioned speech at a press conference about an issue. He was particularly good on those offered amendments to the Constitution that were awful, and he stood up and he said why, and he was good at connecting with people. He knew how to connect with the people in North Carolina, and the ones we supported passed, and the ones we didn't support failed, and I think that made us all feel pretty good.
He still had power.
He still had power. I think you won't see his like again. He had people all over the state in every county, every corner of every county, who he had done something for, who had appreciated what he had done, who got to benefit from the programs he had put in place. And when he spoke, they listened. Whether they agreed with him or not, they wanted to try and agree with him and try to help him to try to move forward what he was trying to move forward.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I was just going to ask, kind of piggyback on what Brian asked, but like, you think we're a quarter of a century since he's been a governor, and how many people have moved to this state, and how much, I moved here in 2005, so it's like, to think of whatever his legacy is that we've benefited from a quarter of a century later that probably a lot of us don't even know about.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the time Governor Hunt took his last two terms, that'd be 1993 through 2001, and look at where we are now. He started pushing as hard as he could the pre-K, well, not pre, but the Smart Start, and also K through 12. Now, as he was leaving office, bear in mind, and I'm running for office, he had $3.1 billion bond on the ballot that we had to pass in order to fund the university system and the community colleges. And while I was running, he was out campaigning for that. And I think I got like 54% and that got 74%. So he left office with a huge victory, and that has made our economy strong. It's the knowledge, talent, and skill that came from those university bonds and community college bonds and the education system, and we continue to build on that. And that's what makes it attractive, and the predictability and certainty that business has in North Carolina due to a lot of the things that he put in place. And that's what brings them here and makes them happy.
Yeah, education, biotech, things that are still fueling our economy.
Yeah, and they want to know, okay, this is a state that's going to commit to education, is going to stay with it. This is a state that's going to put a fair tax burden in place and is going to stick with it, not change it too much. And I mean, that's the predictability and certainty that we needed. He always stressed that. I think one of the things that I think about, and this is more on a personal level about Governor Hunt, yeah, he served 4 terms, but I think he raised 4 children at the same time, had a beautiful marriage and relationship with Carolyn Hunt, and she did a lot too. And together they were such a great team and such a great example to all of us, and showing everybody that you can work really hard at your job, at politics, and you can still be a good family man, a wife, a husband, or whoever. That's the kind of thing I remember about him.